All right, let's start with a wild thought experiment. Imagine our entire world, I mean the very rhythm of our lives, being completely turned on its head, all because one single day just vanished.
I'm talking about Monday. You know, that day, the universal symbol of the weekly grind. What if it just ceased to exist? Poof! Gone. Now, that's a cool thought experiment, right? But what if I told you it wasn't just an experiment? Because get this, in the year 2029, it wasn't a hypothetical. It actually happened. It became our reality. The calendar just skipped. It went from Sunday straight to Tuesday. No more Mondays. And this massive, totally mysterious shift, well, it gave rise to something we now call the 6-day paradigm. It's basically a whole new global structure built around a 6-day cycle instead of 7. So the big question is, what actually happened when the world lost a day? Let's dive in and break it all down. Okay, first up, let's talk about the most immediate change, the one everyone felt right away. We're calling it the 3-day weekend effect, and man, did it completely reshape our personal lives. Just think about how Sunday completely transformed. You know that feeling, the Sunday scaries or the Sunday dread, that creeping anxiety about the work week starting? Well, it was replaced by this incredible sense of uninterrupted freedom. Instead of spending your evening doing meal prep and stressing about the week, Sundays became a day for actual rest, for connecting with people, for doing things you actually love. So what did people do with all this newfound freedom? Did they just waste it? Not at all. This extra day fueled this amazing surge in volunteerism, in people picking up hobbies and getting into the arts, spending real quality time with their families, and actually engaging with their local communities. It was incredible to see. And the result of all that, the big payoff? A tangible, totally measurable uplift in mental health. Across the board, people were just happier. They felt more fulfilled. It's as simple as that. Okay, that all sounds great for our personal lives, but I know what you're thinking. What about the economy? What about work? Well, this leads us to something fascinating called the productivity paradox and a complete redefinition of the work week. I mean, the obvious question is, right? With one less workday, wouldn't productivity just completely tank? Think about it. You're losing almost 20% of the traditional work week. Simple math says your output has to go down. Logic says it's a disaster waiting to happen. Well, in one of the most fascinating twists in modern history, the exact opposite happened. The economy didn't shrink. In a lot of ways, it actually got stronger. And look at this. This chart really shows the core of the paradox perfectly. You can see it right here. Even as the total number of work hours went down, overall productivity actually went up. So how on earth is that even possible? It turns out the key factors were all about people. Employees, coming off a real restorative 3-day weekend, just came back to work with so much more energy, and that led to greater focus, more creative problem solving, and honestly, just a more positive vibe in the workplace. Companies had no choice but to get smarter about how they worked, not just work longer hours. But, it wasn't a perfect utopia for absolutely everyone. There's always another side to the story. So let's look at that other side of the coin, with what some call a eulogy for Monday, the voices of nostalgia. And this quote really captures that feeling perfectly. You see, for a lot of people, Monday wasn't a burden at all. It was a fresh start. It was their day for setting intentions, for getting their heads straight, and getting organized for the week's challenges. So what it boils down to is that Monday served a real psychological purpose. For some, it was that symbolic clean slate. For others, it was a predictable anchor for their routine. And for many, that shared, collective, okay, here we go, start to the week, well, that was something they genuinely missed. All right, so where does that leave us? What are the big takeaways from all of this? Let's move on and see how this all came together to form a new normal, and what lessons we can actually learn from losing a day. What's truly remarkable is just how quickly society adapted. It's kind of mind-blowing. As this timeline shows, within a single year, just 12 months, the world went from total confusion and upheaval to this explosion of innovation, and finally to settling into a brand new cultural rhythm. And the changes, they were profound. The ripple effects went way beyond just individuals. The 6-day paradigm led to a society with a drastically better work-life balance, a true renaissance in arts and culture as people had more time to create, and even a completely reimagined, more focused education system.
Oh, and there was this totally unexpected bonus. With one less day of rush hour traffic every single week, cities started reporting a slight but definitely measurable decrease in weekly emissions. Now, it might not sound like a lot, but it was a real consistent win for the environment. When you step back and look at the big picture, by losing a day, humanity had accidentally embarked on this bold, massive experiment. An experiment in redefining our entire relationship with time itself, and maybe even with our own potential. Ultimately, the story of the 6-day paradigm shows us just how incredibly adaptable we are. It proves that the structures we take for granted, like the 7-day week, are maybe a lot more flexible than we think. Which, of course, leaves us with one final question to think about. A question for you. If you could reinvent your week, what would you change?